Lieutenant Colonel Keith Isaacson, IDF Lieutenant Colonel in charge of protecting 32 kibbutz, 16 of which were attacked simultaneously by teams of fighters with the mission to kill women and children. We know of that story on October the 7th, and we're going to explore it more. Mr. Keith Isaacson, Lieutenant Colonel, welcome to the show.
When over 6,000 terrorists breached the Gaza border, they attacked on a Saturday. They attacked not only on a Saturday, on a holiday that actually was a Saturday, and they took us off guard. I can't believe, and I don't believe, and I don't want to believe someone really knew what was going to happen. Not in the military and not in the government. About 1,600 were killed, terrorists, 400 were taken in captivity, and 4,000 went back. Over 250 hostages. But they took whatever they had in their hands, slaughtered, amputated, raped, and killed. When you target a building that you know there's a terrorist activity, we send them warning. We tell them to go out. They go out and then we bomb. Which country in the world tells where they're going to attack, when they're going to attack, and get out? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any country.
Hey, y'all, hold on real quick. I got to tell you this. I bet you $1 million y'all didn't know this. Only 3 mobile providers on all of the cell phone towers in America. When you work with Patriot Mobile, you can pick one of the providers that work best for you. And that's the uniqueness of Patriot Mobile. Switch to the only Christian conservative provider today. All you got to do is go to patriotmobile.com/Tatum or call 972-PATRIOT and get a free month of service with promo code Tatum. I want to introduce my guest here, who's an amazing man. I heard so many incredible stories about him, stories of heroism, stories of dedication and loyalty to his family and to his country. And I just want to give a quick background. Lieutenant Colonel Keith Isaacson, IDF Lieutenant Colonel in charge of protecting 32 kibbutz, 16 of which were attacked simultaneously by teams of fighters with the mission to kill women and children. And we know of that story on October the 7th, and we're going to explore it more with Mr. Isaacson. So, Mr. Keith Isaacson, Lieutenant Colonel, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So you have a very interesting story, and I think that God has an ability of curating our lives to make an impact for others. And as we endure, it comes to fruition. So can you tell the audience about kind of what your assignment was previous to October the 7th, and specifically on October the 7th and beyond?
So I'm head of security for a municipality called Eshkol. It's one of 4 municipalities that surround the Gaza Strip. It's actually the main municipality that has 32 communities around the Gaza Strip out of 66. There are 66 small communities, kibbutzim and mushavim. When I say community, I say between 500 and 1,200, 1,300 people living in a community. So under my jurisdictions, there are 32. I'm the head of security. And all these years, my job was really to work with the army because it's army territory. We've had escalations since 2001, and especially 2005 when Israel decided to retreat its civilians and the army from Gaza, because we were in Gaza for many years. There were 10,000 Israelis living in Gaza. In 2005, we decided, no, we're retreating and we're giving that back to the Palestinians. And we were really hoping that doing that, maybe peace will really come, knowing that they have their own land, they can do whatever they want, no soldiers, no civilians. Yes, a fence that divides between Israel and Gaza Strip. But very quickly, we realized that was just a dream. And during these years, we had many escalations. Most of the escalations were firing missiles, small groups trying to infiltrate. We knew that they were training. We knew that they had weapons. but we were surprised on the 7th of October how much effort they put into that particular day when over 6,000 terrorists breached the Gaza border.
Can we talk about that a little more in detail? Because you were there, security forces right on the ground. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there, and people are in skepticism because a lot of people have never been to Israel and they create these scenarios. But can you explain, like, what exactly? Because a lot of people believe that it's a very secure place, the Gaza Strip. When I was in Israel, we didn't get to go there because it was a little too dangerous for us at the time. But people are saying that how could this even happen with all the security, with all of the threat levels that you guys were already aware of? How could this happen? Can you explain how this could even be possible and you guys get caught off guard with something like this?
Yes, that's the right word, caught off guard. First of all, don't forget the Palestinians in Gaza are not our only enemy. We had the Hezbollah in Lebanon. We had Iran, Syria, Judea and Samaria, the Palestinian Authority in Judea and Samaria. And something new also happened in Yemen. So a lot of effort, I think, in the last couple of years went more north, the Lebanese border and Iranian border. And I think in the last couple of years we underestimated our enemy in Gaza. And we didn't put enough effort in that, also in intelligence, also in, let's say, getting more soldiers, units to guard the border. Yes, there's a lot of disinformation. A lot of it is not true, saying that just before the attack, a unit, a battalion was moved from one place to another. Yes, it was moved, but this battalion is always moved, where if there's problems in Judea and Samaria, it will be sent to Judea and Samaria. If there's problems on the northern border of Israel, it will be sent. So this battalion was there 2 weeks before, because there was at that time, 2 weeks before the 7th of October, there was some friction, and they didn't know really what was happening, so they brought a battalion to be on guard. Things went calm, they took that battalion out. So all of a sudden they say the government took, or the army took that battalion, so we'll be weaker, and then we'll be attacked, and then we can attack Gaza.
Right.
So things are not like that.
Another one that I would like for you to address, if you can. People are saying that Benjamin Netanyahu knew about the attack, that there is a stand down order potentially given. Can you speak to that? Because just common sense to me, and I don't want to be biased in this interview, but common sense to me tells me that people should hear from individuals who are associated with the military force and hear from them instead of making wild, exaggerated, assumptions of something that crazy.
I do think that we, like I said before, we underestimated our enemy, but we had our forces. Don't forget, they were very clever. They did their homework. Unfortunately, they did their homework. We didn't do our homework. And they attacked on a Saturday. They attacked not only on a Saturday, on a holiday that actually was a Saturday, and they took us off guard. Not only that, they built that attack geniusly, and it took a long time, over 12 hours to get organized, and only after 12 hours things started changing. But I can't believe, and I don't believe, and I don't want to believe that someone really knew what was going to happen. Not in the military and not in the government. Yes, we were off guard. Yes, our heads and our minds were up north. Yes, we didn't think that they're going to be a threat. But there was a mistake, I think a big mistake, and people that were responsible, most of the high-ranking officers have left the IDF, and most probably more will go. But the soldiers, the young officers, the majors, the colonels, and everything fought. That's the only day since the Yom Kippur War in 1973 that so many soldiers were killed in one day. So I don't believe that anything that happened was known, or even anyone had the slightest idea that something so tragically can really happen in our days. And we were just off guard. And maybe, it's a country that has been threatened by many, many countries around it. Unfortunately, it shouldn't happen, but things like this do happen. And I think it's a waking call for us to tell us, listen, your enemies are not going to go away, and you have to defend your country. If it's now and in the future, we've been fighting for thousands of years to have a Jewish state in Israel, and I, unfortunately, think we're going to be still fighting for the next couple of thousand years.
Wow. And biblically, it's prophesied that some of these things will happen. And it's also one thing that I find interesting is that all of the people that have been against Israel have been against the Jewish people. Many of those, I want to say tribes, nations, no longer exist. The Romans no longer exist. The Ottoman Empire no longer exists. You have the Nazis in Germany; they no longer exist. But Israel is still there, and they're still fighting. And it's almost consistent. Well, not almost. It's directly consistent with biblical prophecy. But can you walk me through the day of October the 7th, when you found out, or were made aware of, or it came to fruition that, okay, we're under attack?
Just that you understand that even my colonel, that is in charge of my area, on Friday evening at 8 o'clock in the evening, he calls me up and says, meet me at 8 o'clock. I want your ATV. I brought my son for the first time. He's been a colonel for a year and a half. He brought his son for the first time to sleep with him at the base, 6-year-old boy. And that's my colonel. And so that day, I woke up very early and was going to get the ATV ready for my colonel. And already at 6:28, missile started. He sent me a message, get everyone into shelter. I have 17,032 communities. I sent a message, everyone into shelter now. Within seconds, I know how to do it because, like I said, we've been in escalation since 2001. I automatically go into my room, put on my uniform because automatically I'm recruited in these conditions to the IDF. And as I'm putting on my uniform, I get another message from my colonel. He said, not only missiles, we've been attacked in multiple places. The only question I asked him, where? Because I knew one day we're going to be attacked. But I thought we'll be attacked 20, 50 terrorists, maybe one or two different communities. He said, no, everywhere. Now, someone that is really involved daily with security, it's something not heard of. But because I knew him, I sent out a message at 6:43 in the morning telling all my 33 officers, we are under a multiple attack. Get all your first responders out and defend your communities. And that's what happened. There were some communities that within 10 to 15 minutes, there were hundreds of terrorists already in the communities, because a lot of my communities are between a mile and a mile and a half from the border. So just imagine on a motorbike or a Toyota vehicle 4x4, it's 2-3 minutes. So it took them minutes to get to some of the communities. So some of the communities, we had no way of defending them. There were hundreds coming in. And some of the communities, even though we were undernumbered, we managed to to hit them outside the community, and even tens of terrorists that came in, we managed to, my first responders managed to kill them all. So a lot of the communities, I try, because it's such a devastating day, I try and think the opposite, that the first responders, and also I'm always, the army was fighting. I'm not saying that the army wasn't fighting, all the soldiers were fighting, but the terrorists, the Hamas, attacked the army at the same time they attacked the communities. So the army was fighting to keep the different bases clean. We were fighting the community in the communities to get rid of the terrorists. Many of the communities were saved. A lot of my first responders, 32, were killed, but by that they saved thousands of people. There were communities, a lot of the communities, only the first responders were killed. In a place called Miftachim, 5 of my officers were killed and 2 were injured. No civilian was killed. In another kibbutz called Nir Yitzchak, 6 of my security officers were killed. No civilians. But it's not like that in all the communities. But a lot of the communities, there was a lot of fighting. After 24 hours, things changed. About 1,600 were killed, terrorists. 400 were taken in captivity. And 4,000 went back with over 250 hostages. 119 were from my communities.
Wow.
And today, out of the 48 hostages that are still in Gaza, 14 belong to my community. So I haven't heard news in the last couple of hours, but I understand things are happening. I don't know. But that day was devastating, because also they were clever enough to kill all the high-ranking officers. They knew exactly where they were, and there was a lot of chaos. They entered many places on the border. So it took at least 12 hours of intense fighting to turn the plate around. And then we started seeing that we are accomplishing and getting back the communities. And after 24 hours, we got the communities back. But I also said, I mentioned it, the fighting continued till the 21st of October. That means 2 weeks. For 2 full weeks, we were fighting pockets of terrorists that were all over the area. And only on the 21st of the 10th, our area was cleaned of terrorists. It took another month and a half to go over all the territory and to make sure no one's hiding, no terrorists are hiding. So it took about 2 months after the 7th of October to know that we are clean of terrorists.
Wow, that's an incredible story. I think one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that there was thousands of terrorists.
Yes.
You know, they see videos and you see a few at a time, and they're like they come into one of a few areas. I think people probably thought it was like 60 or 70 of them, and then they did that much devastation. It was thousands.
We're talking
of
about,
terrorists.
because there's a lot of, in the last year actually, the army has been doing investigations in every community that was hit and collecting all the information. And we thought at the beginning it was just over 3,000, but at the end we realized around 6,000 to 6,500. There's one thing I have to say: the worst atrocities done to the people living in the communities were done not by the Hamas, the elite units of the Hamas, and not by the Islamic Jihad, were done by the civilians. The civilians that there were waves. First the military, and then there were also civilians that came in, no weapons, but they took whatever they had in their hands, slaughtered, amputated, raped, and killed. And unfortunately, I don't know why Israel doesn't show that footage.
Yeah.
Because we have all the, I haven't seen it, I refuse to see it because I need also. I'm dealing in rebuilding. I can't really handle it, but we have all the footage because they were so proud. The elite units of the Hamas and the Islamic Jihad, they were so proud of themselves. They filmed themselves.
Right.
Everyone had its own camera on his head, and they filmed everything live and not also live. So, and we have all that footage. We have so much footage, but for some reason, I don't know, it's not with me, we are not showing it. And I think the world should see what these... I used to say they're not human beings, they're animals. And then I said, no, they're not animals, they're monsters. And then actually my mayor, she's a new elected mayor, she says, no, Keith, they are human beings that have... They're not animals and monsters. They are human beings. That's even worse. That human beings have learned and to hate us so much to do what they did. Human beings. It's even worse than when you say it's an animal or monster, you're saying, he has a reason because he's not a human being. No.
Yeah. He's
a human being that did these atrocities that me and you cannot understand.
Yeah, I can't understand it. And some people were saying that Benjamin Netanyahu, out of respect for the families who lost their loved ones, that, and this is not, I can't verify this. I didn't get a chance to ask him this when I talked to him, but the rumors are that he didn't want to show or disrespect the families, the loss of the families. That's why he didn't want to put them out to the world. But I agree with you. I mean, I saw some snippets. I saw people getting beheaded. And the fact that you bring up that civilians were in on this. We saw the video of the phone call. Hey, Mom, Dad, I killed Jews with my own hands, celebrating. And the world needs to know how bad it was, because I lost my mind when I saw it happen, because I had just gone to Israel for the first time 2 months before that. And when I saw it happen, I was so upset that I even made the reference of saying that Israel needs to turn that whole place into a parking lot. Now, I know that was a little hyperbolic at the time, but I was so upset that they would do that to innocent people. And I saw civilians cheering when they would take the women back, and they were hitting them when they were riding through the trucks. And it was like a whole community supported the atrocities. It wasn't just the military.
And that's what I'm saying. I know I'm saying something not popular, and no one says it. But I think I can say what I want to say, especially because I was there. I've always been there. I lost a lot of friends. I can say one thing. 2.2 million, or more or less what is in Gaza, at the end of the day, they're all Hamas. They're all Islamic Jihad. It's an idea. It's an idea. And unfortunately, if you read the Quran, it doesn't say go and slaughter women and children. I don't think there's any religion, doesn't matter what religion, that says things like that. And for some reason, they don't go, they say they go according to the Quran. You're not going according to the Quran. I don't know what you're going according to, but they are learnt at school, at kindergarten, at preschool, to hate their neighbors. When I go to different schools in the United States and in Canada, and I talk to Jewish kids, I said, you know what? You want to know what the difference is? When you go to school, it can be a Jewish school, it can be a Christian school, doesn't matter. We go to different schools. Do they teach you to hate your neighbor? Do they teach you to disrespect the other religion? And all of them, I've gone to a couple of schools, and it doesn't matter what age. None of them say, no, of course not. But that's not what's happening in Israel, in Gaza, and that's not happening. What's happening in Judea and Samaria, and that's not happening in different Arab countries. And even you go to any school in Israel, any school, and it could also be a religious school and a non-religious. We don't learn that. When I went to school, I wasn't taught to hate my friends, my neighbors, other religions. It never even got to the table. We learnt about history, mathematics, things of life, but not hate. And I think that's the difference. And that's why when I say there can't be peace, that's why. Because to draw that out of them will take decades. But you have to start somewhere, and no one's starting anyway.
Yeah.
That's my problem. If they were starting, I could say, okay, within the next 20, 30 years, maybe we can live together. But I don't see that even starting.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, because you see some world leaders in the UK and abroad, and they are legitimizing Hamas and wanting them to be recognized as their own independent state, and they're not. And here's the thing: people talk out of both sides of their mouth. On one end, they say it's an apartheid state, which is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. Because Arabs obviously can serve in the Knesset, in the military, this is the dumbest thing ever. So then they say they're occupied, and then they say it's a genocide, which is another ridiculous claim. So if you're saying that, then I don't understand why those same people reject the idea that there's probably nobody in Gaza that want peace. If you feel like you're being controlled or someone's committed a genocide against you, even after the war, I think it's going to be even worse propaganda, because I cannot imagine that people in Gaza, leadership, the schools, they're teaching their children, that they are telling them the truth about what Hamas is, what Hamas is. They are telling Hamas or teaching the story of the Hamas is freedom fighters, and that they were fighting for the justification of our nation to free us. And so the kids are thinking that the Jewish government, Israel, the IDF are all evil. How can you change that around without? And I don't know what the solution would be, but I want you to tell the story of your daughter, because this hits home too. A man supporting his family and had to make a crucial decision about whether you could break from that to go and save your daughter, or you had to stick by your oath.
So on Friday evening, we all had dinner together. We usually do all have together, and everyone went to his own house. Most of my kids live in my area, and my daughter, when the bombardment started, she called me. I was already on my way to the base, and she says, I hear a lot of shooting close to me. I said, listen here, run from where she lived in a small caravan. Run to your grandmother's house. There was no one there. The grandmother passed away a year before. I said, run to the house. There's a shelter in the house, and stay there. And during those many hours, she phoned a few times. Most of the times I couldn't give her an answer, but it took 10 hours. But on one hand, I knew she will be safe for two reasons. My son, who is they twins, was also in that area. He, very early in the morning, came to where we live, took my pistol from the house, and went out to defend a few communities. My brother, very early in the morning, went out to the junction that leads to 7 communities, and he fought for 5 hours. Every terrorist that tried to penetrate that junction, he killed. He was with another 2 guys. And you're talking about apartheid. My family's from South Africa, and I lived there for 6 years. And I always smile, and when someone says that, I don't even want to talk to him, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But my brother, when he was fighting, an Arab Muslim that works in our area came to him very early in the morning. He had nothing on him. He said, I can help you. So my brother said, how can you help me? He looks like an Arab. He is an Arab. He's a Muslim. He said, I was in the IDF. So my brother says, which unit? And he told him the unit. And there is a unit, no one talks about it. There is a unit in the IDF that actually belongs to my area that are only Arab Muslims in that unit. There is only one unit like that, but it's Arab Muslims. And they've been defending me for the last 30 years.
Wow.
So when he heard that he was from that unit, what they did, they took a kalach from one of the bodies of the terrorist, and he put him at the junction on a bomb shelter, because he was scared that when Israeli forces will come, they'll see someone looking like an Arab with a kalach and shoot at him. So he put him somewhere that no one can see him, and he was with a policeman, himself, and this Arab Muslim. For 5 hours were fighting on the junction.
Wow.
And every terrorist that came hit. So I knew that because of my brother and my son, my daughter is safe. Although she didn't feel that, because she just heard all the shooting. At the end of the day, very close to where she was, 5 of my officers were killed, 2 were injured, but no civilians. And after 10 hours, my brother got to her and got her out of the safe room and got her to my wife.
What's your opinions on the handling of the war? I'm not sure what all you could say. You know, obviously there could be some blowback, you know, for saying it. But I just want your honest opinion of, do you think that the war should have moved faster or maybe more aggressively at the beginning? Or is it just, you know, it's hindsight? It's just, it's looking back on it as easy said than done.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, it's easy said when you're looking back. But don't forget, we're a small country. 10 million people living in Israel. 7.5 are Jews. 2.5 are Arabs. So just think, let's say out of the 2.5 million, most of them don't go to the army, 99%. So out of the 7.5 million, our army's small. And we are fighting Lebanon, we are fighting in Syria, we are fighting in Iran, we are fighting in Judea and Samaria, we are fighting in Gaza, we're fighting in Yemen. It's not that easy. And we had to also defend all the borders at the beginning. And you can see and you saw that we went into Lebanon strong, but there was one difference: no hostages. We are trying very hard not to hurt these hostages, which is a very difficult mission for any Israeli officer. You tell them, go and fight, but be careful, don't do this, don't do that, to try and keep our hostages alive. We do so many things to make sure that those hostages are alive. So it's very easy to say, maybe we should have done something or something else. I think we're doing the right thing. Yes, 2 years is very long. Everyone's tired, but we won't stop. We won't stop. And the motivation of the soldiers are high for one reason: hostages. Dead or alive, the dead we want to bring back and be buried in the soil of the Jewish land, and alive to come back to their families.
Yeah, I love that. I love that perseverance, and I'm glad that America is on the right side of this.
Yes.
And that we have President Trump that's in office, that's supportive. And I just think that coalition will allow the Jewish state to permanently exist. I mean, because obviously, biblically, God has already said that he's going to bring the Jewish people back to the land, and they would never be uprooted again. And I'm very proud that our country is saying, look, we know you guys have the fortitude to fight and do it on your own, but when they get to the point where you need us, we're always there for you, especially in Iran, this last strike. So is there anything else as we wrap? We probably got about 5 more minutes. Is there anything else you want to tell the people, or things you think people should know about the IDF, about Israel, about this conflict?
Now, I want to maybe say what I think of them. And I want to say thank you to all the Christians in the US. I know a lot of them are supporting us in their hearts, in their prayers, in other ways to rebuild our communities. I think the Christian community here in America don't understand how important and how much energy it gives us to know that you are supporting us, especially in the last couple of months where you see country after country that are voting against Israel, governments. I don't think it's the people, actually. I think it's more the governments. And then when you check into those governments, you see all those governments have problems, internal problems that are trying. It's just like the beginning of the Second World War. They're trying to find reasons why they have internal problems, and they're blaming everyone else. So I want to say thank you to the American people, to the American Christians that have been helping us before the 7th of October, during the 7th of October, rebuilding now, and of course to the government, the American government, that without Trump, I don't know how we would have succeeded. It's really making our job possible. I'm not saying easier or that, but possible to keep the state of Israel a Jewish state and to keep living there. And without the support of the United States, I don't know where we would be. So first, that's the most important. And about the IDF, there's so many stories about the IDF soldiers. It's not hard to kill women and children in battle. And we do everything. There are some times we are risking the lives of our soldiers not to hurt civilians. Although I say all those civilians are Hamas, but we don't kill women and children. And I think they don't show enough of that. When you target a building that you know there's a terrorist activity, we send them warning, we tell them to go out. They go out and then we bomb. Which country in the world tells where they're going to attack, when they're going to attack, and get out? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any country.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
And we do it all the time because we have no reason. And I don't want to go to sleep knowing I killed a 12-year-old Palestinian boy, knowing that in 5 years' time, that 12-year-old is going to be one of the worst terrorists that's going to be affecting my country. But still, I will not kill him.
That makes a lot of sense because it's obvious. You know, some of the viral videos that are online is the videos where you see the buildings getting hit and they come down, and people who are ignorant and have a mind virus, in my personal opinion, they play those videos as evidence of Israel tearing everything up. But it's like, yet the fact that you have the ability to get a camera and set it up with anticipation that that building would be hit specifically, that tells you that you had a lot of forewarning.
Exactly.
Which is very clear. And the propaganda that's coming out of Gaza is insane. The death toll numbers is, how can we verify that? They won't designate combatants versus civilian. They won't designate children versus adults or the ages of the children that they're referring to. 20% or 40% of children. Well, 17 is a child, considered a children in that, 17, 16, 15. And I could only imagine that Hamas is recruiting these young men to be combatants and to be affiliated.
There are. Unfortunately, we are losing in that battle. But it's always hard. It's always easy to be the underdog, and that's why one of the reasons I'm here. I'm not a politician. I'm someone living there. Have my family there. Yes, I deal in defending my communities, and I can tell our story and what is really happening. Nothing to do with politics, but their propaganda is excellent. There is so much food, they don't know what to do with the food there. They don't know what to do. And my mother 2 days ago said, I saw pictures of 2 Palestinians starving. I said, yes, there are 2.2 million. I'm sure someone can find 2 Palestinians starving. But it's not easy to find Palestinians starving. They are not starving. There's so much food. They just don't know what to do with the food there. But we're not stopping. We are putting all the efforts, whatever the European community and America and other countries, whatever they want to put in, we're putting in. Yes, it's not easy to live in the Gaza Strip, but that's the regime that they voted for.
Right.
That's the regime that they are. So they have to live with that. And there's one solution. It's very simple. Put down your weapons.
Right.
Bring us back the hostages. If you want to live your own lives, a good life, live it. No one's stopping you. You'll get the support of all the nations in the world. They're all supporting you now. But when they have to support and send money, and then it's another story. Or have to take some to their borders, injured, or a couple of thousand. No one wants them. So put down your weapons. Give us back our hostages. Live your own lives. We'll live our own lives. You live your own lives. Let's see. It's very simple.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
I'm so glad you said that, and we'll wrap it up with this. But I'm glad you said that because the leader of Hamas was in an interview the other day. I don't know if you saw it. He got that big stain on his forehead. But he said in front of the world that Hamas is the community. We are Hamas.
He did say that.
He said that there is no separation. They are a part of who we are. There's no separation between the Gazans and Hamas. No separation. They are a part of society. He said it on the camera, and I did a video about it. And when we go and make this, I'm going to pop it up there so people can see it. He specifically said that, and he said we'll never surrender is another thing that he had said. He lied about the way he treat the hostages, the Israeli hostages, because he said we treat them according to the Islamic law, which we know that they've been raped, we know that they've been killed, we know that they've been starved, because we actually see starving people on the camera, and those are the emaciated, starving people who are Israeli. So the man came out and said it in front of the world.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes.
It's just things that I said, things that I personally know.
Right.
I don't listen to too much media, but if he said that, it's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Right, perfectly. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming here. I pray for your safety and your perseverance in fighting for your country and also supporting us here in America. So, Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure.